Welcome to
Yeah.
Something to Discuss. This is our first ever podcast. It is me and this lovely gentleman, Seth.
No.
In this podcast, we pretty much are open to discuss anything, like literally
L
anything,
Literally anything you can think of.
ranging from like politics to sports to philosophy, theology, like anything.
History,
Yeah,
janitor work probably.
we know each other. We're just like, we know each other from high school. Like, we just decided to, just we wanted to talk,
Yeah.
just branch
Just do
out.
the podcast bro sort of thing. Whenever you're in trouble, just start a podcast. That's the idea.
Yeah, no, we gotta pay the bills. It's just for fun, and if you have anything you
Yeah.
want us to look at, talk about, you can leave comments. But first
Mhm.
of all, because of the time of year, it's around Christmas when we're recording this. I
Happiest time
do
of
I
year?
do have something I want to talk about. Christmas pet peeves.
Mm.
Personally, I do have some pet peeves about Christmas.
You do?
Yes, so I I like the concept of it. I like the giving, but I do
Mhm.
think that it is a little too like capitalistic consumerism, like it
Materialist?
materialistic, where it's just
Uh-huh.
pushing a lot of like buy and stuff, and when it's sometimes that
Mhm.
misses the actual point of Christmas, like being with like your family, spending like quality time, and
Giving gifts.
yeah,
Or,
like
like, meaningful gifts, yeah.
yeah, like sometimes you get too caught up in the actual material side of it instead of like
Mhm.
being with like your family.
Right. So is that your biggest pet peeve that you have about the modern season?
Yeah, I think that's something I always kind of think of because personally, I'm not a great gift giver either.
Mm.
So I mean, there's just so many. There's other things though. Like sometimes Christmas, you have to. Personally, I don't like rewatching movies.
Mm. That's controversial.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. So like when you want to watch rewatch the Christmas movies, it's like because you know what happens already. But I
Well,
want.
it's
What do you
more about,
think?
like, the feeling. It's like, reminding you. It's like, when we read the story of Jesus or, like, when people do their own holiday traditions, like, "Oh, it's just reminding you," but, like, "Oh, this is what the season's about," you know?
I guess it
I mean, I
depends
used to
on the Christmas
yeah.
movie.
So what's your do you have a favorite Christmas movie then? So we can start off.
I'd probably say Christmas Vacation.
Christmas Vacation. I think that's my mom's favorite Christmas
Yeah,
movie
I
as
think
well.
that would be my pick. That's the one I can endure watching over.
You endure.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite then?
Oh, wow, it just zoomed in on me.
No, that was effective.
I'm not touching a button.
You're a
I don't
cinematographer.
I'm not sure I have a least favorite because if I don't like it, I wouldn't watch it. Whoa. I probably don't remember it much.
Right, since you don't like it.
Yeah. What would you say your least favorite is?
My least favorite, I don't wanna be lame and give the same answer. Uh, no, I mean, like, lame as in, like, I just don't wanna repeat the same
Oh,
thing over and over, right? Not
uh,
just like, "Oh, that's a lame answer," but I'm just
mm.
saying that least favorite or the one I don't really think highly about, probably, like, the Hallmark Christmas movies.
That's respectable. Yeah. I forgot
Yeah,
about
because
those.
I'm not really a big rom-com,
Mhm.
sort of guy.
Really?
Uh That's an inside
I
joke for the viewers, but yeah. But, yeah, I'm not a
back in
big
high
rom-com
yeah,
guy,
yeah,
but, so Hallmark movies, I mean, they're cheesy on purpose. I mean, I
yeah.
can res I mean, I understand it from that point of view. My favorite Christmas movie is probably It's a Wonderful Life. I
Oh,
mean,
that's a
It's a
classic.
classic. We all know, like, the famous, "Oh, I wish wouldn't existed," and you see how, like, how,
That is a
you
good
know,
movie.
people's lives are less meaningless or turn a different course when if you're not around or being present.
Mm,
Uh, so that would be my favorite.
mhm. That's a good
Uh,
pick.
yeah, but so back to Christmas pet peeves. Mine This is going to probably be high-minded and, might serve as a segue for later, but I don't like it like, when you're on I don't use TikTok, but I know friends talk to me about it from TikTok or, like, on
Mm.
Instagram or especially Facebook, is that, "Oh, Christmas is this stolen pagan traditions or adapted, or is, December 25th because that was Sol Invictus's birthday." Uh, so that's more of like a I don't wanna sound like I'm coming from a high horse, but, like, an intellectual, like, pet
Yeah,
peeve
yeah,
I have is, like, uh
yeah.
because I mean, I don't blame people for thinking that because back then mainstream scholarship did say that,
Mhm.
especially in late Roman studies. But nowadays, it's more about like calculation theory, which is
Yeah.
basically like how uh, Christmas ends up on the 25th is because the Christians, early Christians, were calculating that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
Were like, well, it's the spring vernal equinox. We think back then they believed that Jesus was born during the Passover or the spring equinox. And so since 9 months is roughly
Mhm.
gestation period for pregnancies, so like December lands is on the perfect day. So everything lines up to be like calculating to be perfect.
Alright.
And so that's one of like calculation theory. That's what scholarship is starting to come about to
Mhm.
now, and also yes, I just don't like it. Yeah, it's like I find it annoying rather
Yeah.
that when you see like images like, well, did you know that the Christmas tree
Oh,
is
yeah, that's what I was
Germanic?
thinking.
Like like the Yuletide? No, like the early evidence we have about the tree is from German legal documents in the 15th or like 14th, 15th century, saying like you can only cut down this amount of trees during Christmas season.
Mhm.
That's like our first actual reference to a tree tradition.
Yeah,
It's
interesting.
only with, like, romantic associations with, like, the Germanic past or
Mhm.
Nordic stuff. That's when, like, those associations started to be made together because, we still have, like, figures like Father Christmas who has Germanic or not Germanic, but, like, ancient pagan,
Mhm.
echoes in that sort of sense, but no, it is entirely an invention of,
Yeah.
calculation or just local traditions after when paganism died out and when Christianity became mainstream.
Alright.
Yeah. Um, do you have any other pet peeves?
Um, I don't think so. I think I hit what I wanted to say.
So just you don't like the movies and
I don't like rewatching movies, and I
materialistic.
don't like some of the like how materialistic it can be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Plus, I don't want the viewers to be like misled. I don't think I'm like one of those people saying like, "Oh, you should say Christmas, not Happy Holidays." Like, there's a war on Christmas, because I just since I am religious myself, but I don't
Yeah,
think it's like there's like a secular atheistic war to say happy holidays. This is just more about like just being, you know, aware.
that being said, it's Merry
Yep.
Christmas. Just kidding.
America. I mean, people know.
I I don't mind either, but I think I'd say
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
I say Merry Christmas because we've been saying that
Yeah,
our whole lives, and people know what you mean
but I don't get, like,
when you say
offended
Merry
if,
Christmas.
like, someone said
I
Happy
don't get offended
Holidays.
when people say like, "Oh, Happy Kwanzaa" or like Merry
Happy Kwanzaa.
Hanukkah. Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, I never heard that one.
Me neither, but you know what I mean though, right? So you know
Alri
what I mean though, right?
yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. Alright, I wanna pivot from pet peeves
Pet
to
peeves.
holiday chaos stories. I
So
know
yeah,
it's
you
it
told me that you had a story to tell. I'm very curious what you have to
So,
say.
my family, it's like a pretty lot of other families, they get together for Christmas, usually,
Hmm.
there's usually a lot of drama involved, but this
Right,
was, like, 2 years ago, I'd say. It doesn't even really involve Christmas, but it's the same time of year. So we
right.
all go down to grandma's house. I actually, like, I'm driving a car, like, our old van with, my
Right,
cousins, and
right.
I just park in the street, and we're inside the house. We get out of the car, go inside the house. We're inside. We're getting ready for Christmas, which is, like, the next day when everyone's coming over, and then all of a sudden, we just hear bang,
Hmm.
and we didn't know what it was, but it was from outside from the front. We rush outside, we
Okay.
open the door, and we just see a car book it. And our van is, like, in our yard, and it's, like, the whole back end is totaled. And
Well,
this is, like, right before Christmas, and it's I mean,
how
the
long
guy the
ago?
guy hit and ran. This is 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah, so
Okay.
this guy just did a full hit and run, like, right before Christmas, and our car was totaled, so we had to, like, call the tow truck or whatever, and
Yeah.
it was really just a chaotic moment, and,
Was this at your new house or the
uh,
old one?
this was at my grandma's old house.
Grandma's. Okay.
I don't know if you've ever been there, but it was a
No,
crazy it was
no.
crazy because I've never, like,
Like,
actually been in, like, a car accident or anything. It wasn't my
Yeah,
fault, and eventually we did, because there were then luckily the neighbor had, like, little like
video
a
recording.
video recorder, and it got the license
Okay.
plate, and we were
Oh,
able to
that's nice.
actually get the
That's
person,
fortunate.
and we were able to get a new van, but still, it was a crazy time, and also, that same year, we had Christmas, we had everyone come over. There I'm not gonna name names, but
Right.
there's someone in my family who is usually a drama. They like drama, and,
Okay.
at my grandma's house, it's not doesn't have the biggest table, so we have a decently sized family, you know,
Right.
we usually have the adults sit at, like, the big table and the kids sit at the little table, but because this one, there's not enough room
Yeah,
for
there's always that system, yeah.
there's not enough room for the adults. One person had to sit with the kids, and this person humbly, they said, you guys can have it. I'll sit with the kids," and it was all fine
Okay.
until like a week after. He just like complaining that his Christmas was like ruined because he wasn't at the adult table, and then he also complained that he had too small of a plate, and it was a whole thing, and that's just it was a whole
Like,
it was the
wanted to go
crazy
to the spot. They
what.
volunteered to go.
Yeah,
They volunteered to go.
yeah, they did.
They're acting like the victim all of a
They
sudden.
volunteered to give it up, and then they acted like a victim. It was, definitely interesting time, because
So
all that
this the hit
happened.
and run? This was the hit and
Yes,
run?
yes.
Okay.
This all happens in, like, a day span. All this, and then he was grumpy the whole rest of the day. It was something. It was something.
Huh. That's just that kinda reminds me for some reason, a few weeks ago at our mutual friend's Savian, area in his neighborhood, there was actually, like, a shootout
Mm,
at the end of the street. Uh, he was telling me about it, and then I checked Fox 11, there was, like, some guy with, like, a warrant or something out in that area.
mhm.
And so there's like he was saying like I'm hearing like random bangs at the end of the street. And I'm like, what's going on? And then he's saying like, this is the police department. Come out with your hands up. And then it was like
Wow.
10 minutes and then like, it's ended. And I didn't see any follow up in the news or something like that, or even mention.
Interesting,
But I
wait.
mean I have to check it again, but
Yeah. I don't live near, like, where we used to live anymore, so I have no idea about this, so that's interesting.
it's normal savings neck of the woods activities. There's always like something going on.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I know. Do you have any crazy stories?
For Christmas time, not really, from the any that I know of, from past years, it was pretty uneventful, thankfully, and this is,
Mhm,
going on smoothly
mhm,
because, for Christmases, we always bounce between my dad's parents or my mom's parents' house.
mhm,
For this year, we're going to my mom's parents' house, but we're staying in a hotel because they're remodeling their house a bit. So
mhm.
normally we stay like in this basement room, but that's being changed. So
Yeah.
we're going in a hotel room. Um, actually, on Sunday, it was my grandparents. They were retiring from like church activities.
Mhm,
So my grandpa used to be the organist. My grandma, she used to be the choir director, so they were having like a service to like, honor like,
mhm.
it was like 4 decades
Wow.
at this church where they have served in functions like the church council or, organist,
Mhm,
music, that sort of thing. Um, but they didn't know that me, my mom, and her siblings, my aunt and uncle, were showing up. So we were kind of like hiding like in the back room.
mhm,
Um, I think it's called like Nurthex. So it's like that room before like you go into like the actual church
mhm,
area itself. So we're like hiding back there, and then after like the sermon and the readings, they're like, "All right, we're going to talk about their service," and then we actually have some special guests. And then we come out, and then it was very. They were not expecting that at all. We had them
mhm.
duped.
Yeah.
They were surprised. It was
Yeah.
crying. It was very emotional, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
uh, then we went out to eat after that, so it was a nice Sunday, and then we're going back on Christmas Eve, so in our time zone is Wednesday,
Mhm.
uh, for the viewers, like, watching from, I don't know, Germany. Uh, uh, and yeah, that's, what's going on for my Christmas, so I don't really have any, like, big drama, toxic
Yeah,
family or,
yeah,
like, hit and run stuff that I know of, but
yeah.
that's what's going on for my season.
Nice, alright.
And are you going somewhere for Christmas, or are you just holding it in your home?
We're hosting it this year, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're not going anywhere. Usually, we would go to my cousin's house, but
Okay.
it's different now.
Yeah, make sure you have a big seat, big table,
Yeah,
kinda more
we have a
universal.
big enough table now for everyone.
You should
Yep,
put, like, their name, like, on the placard or whatever, it's like,
yeah.
"This is your spot."
And the plates are big enough now.
Okay, okay. Do you have, like, a traditional meal that you have, like ham,
I
chicken?
think just the usual, like, ham,
Uh,
stuffing sometimes, I think, and just, like,
okay.
usual. I think one of them always makes cookies, and they're, like, the best cookies ever.
Mm,
I love
yeah.
those cookies. Mm,
My dad's company, they used to give a ham as well,
mm,
but for some reason, they didn't do it this year.
yeah,
Uh, um, again, we're going to grandma's, so they're probably gonna
mm,
have, like, ham or chicken. Uh, but cycling back to Thanksgiving, since you said
mm.
stuffing, what is your favorite Thanksgiving food?
Ooh. Alright, this one,
Yeah,
for me, it's a clear winner.
clear
Nothing's
winner.
close.
Okay.
I like stuffing. I love stuffing. I fill my
I
plate with
agree.
stuffing, and I go for seconds of stuffing, and
Yeah,
I'm a stuffer.
I like combining the stuffing with the mashed potatoes and gravy, so it's kinda
Okay.
like this good, like, not stew, but, like, this
Mhm,
combination, and then just with the gravy is just, excellent.
mhm,
Uh, I used to be a big turkey guy when I was a
mm,
kid because my grandma always gave me, like, the big,
mm,
Thanksgiving turkey leg, but
mhm,
I think tastes change, and, it's just, like it's kinda inconvenient because you have, like you have to cut or you have to,
mhm.
like, eat around, like, the bones or
Hear
something
me
like
out, hear
that.
me out. Turkey fell off. For
Turkey fell off.
for me, I actually when we have Thanksgiving, I usually stay away from the turkey because we usually have ham and turkey.
Okay.
So I usually actually go for the ham instead of turkey because for me, turkey
Mm.
just the aftertaste, I don't love it. I do
It's
like
a
ham.
hard meat to season. It's
Yeah,
hard to,
yeah.
like well, not because people do like turkey. I mean, that's why Subway, Jimmy John's, and all those places have
Yeah.
it. People like turkey.
Just
Uh,
not me, I guess.
yeah. It's just a hard, dry meat to try to, like,
Mm,
season and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say that turkey I think it's novel as a kid because, it's a big bird and you get, like, the leg and
Mm,
it's symbolic of Thanksgiving, right? You
mm.
see people football players, they munch on it after games, stuff.
The
It's the
turducken.
food, it's the Thanksgiving, but, like, once you start experimenting with other foods, once you grow older, or
Mm,
you just like, taste buds change, it's just like, I like stuffing more, or I like
yeah.
mashed potatoes, or does your family do yams? Like yams or,
Um, uh,
squash?
my family, we don't really do that, I don't think. If we do, I don't think I eat it, so
Oh, we do, and I was also I was not shocked, but I found it really interesting too that other families do mac and cheese.
Mm.
My kid, like my childhood self would have loved that, but we never had mac and cheese.
Really?
And when I asked my mom about it, she's like, "Oh, that's more of a Southern thing." But I'm like, "Well, people up here do it."
Yeah, yeah, my family usually has
Too.
mac and cheese. So that's
What?
interesting. My family usually has mac and cheese.
Yeah, but my
Interesting.
mom, according to her, it's Southern,
It's too
quote unquote.
southern,
I mean,
yeah.
which I can see, but like, come on,
Yeah.
it's universal.
Alright.
uh,
Now I'm gonna pivot here a little bit. It's kind of a drastic pivot from what we've been
yeah, for
talking
the
about.
for the viewers, do we do have like ideas, so we're not talking off the cuff right here. So I'm
Yeah,
really,
we go into knowing what to discuss, and we just kinda let the conversation flow. But I
yeah,
do wanna talk about one thing that's really prevalent right now, and it's kind of a big
okay.
deal, and
I,
this
I think I
is
know what to pivot
yep,
to,
yep,
but
this is
yeah,
the
just
Epstein files.
yeah.
Going from Christmas to the Epstein files, that's a big
Merry
jump,
Merry Christmas.
but right now there's a lot of news about it because they're
Sure,
releasing it, and there's a lot of people who thought they should have done that sooner, and there's a lot of question marks about it. What do you think?
right. So, truth be told, I only read like the AP news articles about it because I don't really have that much time as I used to really delve into political
Mm,
stuff. like back then because Calvin, I'm like during like 2024, I was like on that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was on that all the
Mhm.
time. But nowadays I'm just, I have, work to do and
Yeah.
other life stuff going on. But from what I can tell, and then based on prior experience, is that what I don't think, well, I do dislike Trump for
Mhm.
the viewers and just to reiterate for Calvin. I don't think he is a predator, but I think it's really scummy that he's not being transparent about, the whole news about, like, because remember he said, "Oh, the files do not exist," but
Yeah.
now apparently they do
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
some way. Uh, and I can understand, like expunging or no censoring like information,
Mhm.
but it seems to be like really on the excessive amount because you just see like page after page of
Yeah.
just it being blocked out or
Mhm.
just one or two words, which I can understand with like you want to, some stuff is just not ready to be released yet
Mhm.
for the public, or you just want to protect identities that are at,
Mhm.
risk. But I think it's just that the basic information still isn't there or is just not expanded upon enough. And
Yeah.
that's what I think is really like, Trump being a lying about it, not being transparent about the process, and just
Mhm.
not being like, yeah. And I think that's what's bugging me about this. That's what I think about this whole situation.
Yeah. I think for me, I just I know he kinda ran on that he was gonna release it, like, day 1 and
Yeah, full
just
government transparency
yeah,
and stuff like that.
it was
Yeah.
a little weird that, like, it would kinda dragged on, and then you feel like whenever, like, there'd be heat on it, then something else would pop up, just kinda, like, change the subject, you
He
know?
would do something to like change the
Yeah.
subject, like, oh, look at the immigrant situation, or oh, Ukraine, look at this,
Yeah.
or like, if you remember the LA
Mhm.
National Guard deployment, if you remember that whole business, it
Yeah.
served as a big distraction from like economic stuff or
Mhm.
right now the Epstein files. And
Yeah.
Trump is just really doing everything he can get to like try to move past it. But even though, he has that one famous quote, I think it was from 2015 or 2016, where he said, I can shoot somebody on TV and I wouldn't lose a vote.
When did they say that? 2020?
Yeah, no, the 2016 or something,
Mm.
because, people were shocked by his political rise. Like,
Mhm.
oh, how can he, like a person like him? And then, but he's like, yeah, I can shoot somebody on TV and I wouldn't lose a single vote.
Fact check
Which
that.
Yeah, it's like there's like a there's like the Jubilee videos where it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
but, moving, yeah, to continue on, but I think what America won't tolerate is a predator or at least somebody
Yeah.
associated
Besides
or, like,
Bill
covering for
Clinton.
that. I well, it's like I would with Bill Clinton because I think it's just that where now it's getting heated,
No.
but, with I don't think Bill Clinton, I mean, I believe the statement put out by his chief of staff saying like, he was not aware until like, the whole, thing started cascade. And then, some people are just there at the wrong time, right? Which I'm willing to believe that. Uh but which I think is different from Trump and like other individuals associated is that they're covering for it. But Bill Clinton is like immediately like ejecting himself, from the whole situation, saying like, no, we were not aware of this whole, you know, sinful,
I
whatever.
mean, well,
Yeah.
from his position, what would you do? Like, if you were there, would you be like, "Yeah, I was a part of that, yeah," or would you be like,
Well,
"That's
I'm trying to say like by him ejecting it, it's like Trump, they're doing like this whole like smoke screen sort of thing. Well, it's like
mhm,
he tries to move on from that. But
alright,
so to be more like specific about it, it's like oh the files don't exist. Look at this situation. But
mhm,
he doesn't like be transparent about it. Bill Clinton immediately tries and his chief of staff and other people, talking for him are like, yeah, we were not aware of this at all, and they keep on like reiterating that point.
mhm,
But Trump, he always like changes his tune, like he
alright."
says, oh, I didn't know about that or blah blah blah. But it's like, oh, the files don't exist, but now they do. Uh, and then there's just other personal issues that he has that it makes me less willing to believe him compared to
I
Bill Clinton.
guess, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. That's my position at
Yeah,
the whole Bill Clinton aspect.
yeah, I
Plus, a
personally,
picture of
yeah.
him, yeah, a picture of him doesn't prove that he's
Yeah, I
guilty.
agree with that, I agree with that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
if you're, like, at an event and someone takes a picture with you, like, that doesn't, like, prove that, like, you're associated with them, like, to an
exactly.
extent, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, it's like sometimes you just show up just to see,
Yeah.
because, oh, it's that person, or it's just like you're just there
Yeah,
because you know
I
a
agree
mutual
with that.
friend or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, so earlier I mentioned late Roman history was like the whole Christmas thing. So before Christmas break, that was like one of my. I didn't talk about that topic, but late Roman history was the
Mhm,
thing I focused on for my ancient history class. So it goes from like, Egypt, Mesopotamia, all the way
mhm,
to like 600s, 700s
mhm,
AD. And so for our final project, we had to do I think it was 8-page minimum essay about like a topic.
mhm.
It was really not that difficult, but I'll get into it.
Alright.
8-page essay minimum about like a topic that the teacher would approve, and then he had to do a presentation about it, and
Mhm,
I like doing it. uh so my topic, um basically my topic was talking about late Roman historiography.
mhm,
So historiography is the study of history, of
mhm,
how history is written, and I was interested in analyzing the sources we have from, especially in relation to to the people of the Gothic people,
mhm,
and how like historians projected their ideals onto the Goths and onto like their
mhm,
sources, and how that remained the same over time, and also like changed a bit,
mhm,
but like the whole like theme is still present, right?
mhm,
So what I did, how I started is by looking at, so the sources I used is Arminius, Marcellius, Jordanes, Procopius, Saint Isidore of Seville, and then Orosius.
alright.
So Arminius and Orosius were contemporary to each other, and they were writing around the end of the 5th century, so 400s. I think Amanius Marcellus, we think he passed away in like 410. And then
Alright.
I forgot about Orosius. Uh, but what's interesting about Amanius, so what he did, he wrote 31 books starting from the death of Emperor Nerva. So
Alright.
that's like roughly like late 100s, early 200s, all the way to the death of Valens in 378, and then a
Mhm,
little bit after that, but that's where he ends his history. It's just called the history. People just call it the books of history. He doesn't give it a title because we are missing 13 books. So the
mm,
first 13 books we don't have. We
interesting.
have fragments of other stuff, but it's only fragments. But
Mhm,
we have the rest of the books, and they focus on the third, fourth centuries.
alright.
Uh, and what I found interesting, so Amanius, he identifies himself as a soldier. He Greek by birth, and he was a former soldier, but he turned into writing history.
Mhm,
Uh, and what's interesting about him is that he's like one of the last traditional Roman history writers,
mhm,
by which I mean traditional Roman historiography. They like focusing on fate. They like to invoke classical motifs of the fates, Furies, different gods and goddesses.
mhm,
Um, but he's also more interested in the drama and intrigue of politics, which will drive in contrast with the Christian Universalists of Jordanes, Orosius, Saint Isidore, and even Saint Augustine,
yeah.
uh, where they're, because these traditional Roman authors like Amanius, or if you know about what's his one name, Tacitus, they're more focused on like parochial, like about what the Roman Empire and that matters. They're more interested in telling good story,
Mhm,
characters, and like the virtues and flaws of characters and how that
yeah.
impacted the Roman Empire. They're more interested in that local sphere of things,
Mhm,
local, but you know what I mean. Then the Christian Universalists, I'll get into it later. They still care about the Roman Empire because that's where they're writing from. That's your context,
mhm,
but they are more interested in how conversions of different non-Roman groups occurred and how they interacted with the empire.
alright.
Uh, so Manius, he wants to emulate Tacitus, so he gives like traditional barbarian um, traits to the Goths. The
Mhm,
Goths are we don't really know much about. There's like this whole debate because Jordanes, he's a historian of the Goths, quote unquote. He thinks they come from Scandinavia. He claims they're from Scandinavia. But if you know anything about the traditional Roman ideas, they think the more far away you are from the Mediterranean, the more inhuman basically you are. Like
Mhm.
there's claims like people with like heads in their chests, or
Mhm.
they don't like they hunt with their like feet, like they draw bows like they're with their feet and stuff, or they
Alright.
hide babies in twigs, that sort of
Mhm.
thing. Um, they come from Scandinavia, and there's like this whole linguistic argument because there's this one place in Sweden called Västergotland,
Alright.
Goth,
Oh.
Goldland, but
Mm.
that doesn't really prove anything
Yeah,
by
yeah.
itself. But from archaeological evidence, we find they're from like the lower Poland, Ukraine
Alright.
region, and they eventually migrate over to the Danubian frontier, so like
Alright.
northern Bulgaria, Greece, and that's how the Goths show up in actual recorded history in
Mhm.
Amanius. They show up around 375, 376. Um, that's how Amania starts talking about the gospel. Well, he does mention a few, like a few instances, but it doesn't really matter. But like he pins the decline because when Amanius was talking about the Battle of Adrianople happened in 378, the Romans are defeated. They get wiped. Well, not wiped, but they get absolutely
Mhm.
dumpstered by the Goths. And so 378, Amanius dies roughly around 410,
Mhm.
and he ends his history by numerous times he mentions, oh, there's like a prophecy predicting the decline of the Roman state. But after the Battle of Adrianople, which I talked about in my school presentation,
Mhm.
he says it's like Cannae's destruction. But it's really subtle if we go into Manius's literary design because I'm going to test your history knowledge. What happens after the Battle of Cannae?
The Battle of Cannae, the French
Yeah.
win.
That's when Hannibal defeats the Romans in
Yep.
that lopsided
That that's
victory, and
that's
they
when
get
the Romans what's it called, didn't they the empire, like, start falling or
no. That's during the Republic period, the Punic Wars. So
okay,
we're talking
okay.
about like the BC, and
Oh, okay.
that's when the Romans they just get surrounded by Hannibal and they're like hampered in
Oh, that's that one?
because
Alright.
Hannibal is good at that sort of stuff, right?
Mm.
Um, but what happens after Cannae, in the grand scheme of things, the Romans win.
Alright, yeah, yeah,
They
that's
beat the
what you mean.
Carthaginians. So Marcellinus is I brought this idea from one history books who talk about historians talk about it.
Mhm.
Not Walter Goffert, Guy Hussel.
Mm.
He points out Cannae. The Romans win after Cannae, so it's very curious. Marcinus picks that idea,
Mhm.
that battle to pin the destruction on,
Yeah.
because near the end of his history book, he has the Romans defeat the Goths
Mhm.
with a clever trick. So that's Marcellus's business.
Interesting.
And I touched about Eurystheus
Mhm.
and Jordanes. And Jordanes, he's interesting in that he uses Marcellus as a source. So Marcellus 410.
Mhm.
Jordanes is 6th century. So we don't know exactly. We just know he wrote from the 6th century. So they're Justinians, right?
Mhm.
Um, and basically, he wrote this book. He wrote two books, the Romana and the Gallica. So Romans, Goths.
Mhm.
Uh, so in Romana, he told the story of creation to Adam all the way to the present context of Justinian.
Mhm.
It's not really in depth, but it's more kind of like a summary rehash of events. But most people study his Gattaca de Goths because that's one of our few sources about
Yeah.
the people. But it's interesting in that the Gattaca is really a work of Byzantine propaganda, Eastern Roman propaganda,
Mhm.
and Gothard he mentions it as a love story between
Interesting.
Goth and Roman. So
Mhm.
like remember, so they come from Scandinavia. So like how in love stories where they're furthest different, they're like the most different people
Yeah, polar opposites.
ever, polar opposites, or they come from drastically different locations, and then somehow they meet together and
Yeah,
it's like a
yeah.
natural partnership. That's basically what Jordanes is doing in the Gattaca because he has the gods starting from all the way from Scandinavia, and then the Romans near the perfect Mediterranean area, and then the Goths take like crazy adventures through like modern day Russia, Ukraine, Poland. They eventually make it to the Danube frontier.
Mhm.
Adrianople happens. The Goths they eventually uh, take the modern day Italy, the
Mhm.
Kingdom of Italy. But Jordanes he doesn't portray it as like a decline
Mhm.
because I'll talk about later with YouTube history or modern day ideas is that, oh, the Roman Empire was in this decline. It fell in 476 AD. Uh, but Jordanes, from his Christian perspective, he's more interested in how the Romans mistreated the Goths,
Mhm.
how the Goths mistreat the Romans. But he does portray it as a natural partnership because after the Goths defeat the Romans in Adrianople, he makes sure to mention, and the Goths start ruling the land. They they transformed from pilgrims and travelers to citizens and lords.
Mhm.
So once they come into contact with the Romans, it's like this natural partnership going on, and he does have like Roman supremacy over Goths because one of their kings leaders,
Mhm.
he goes to Constantinople and he has like this religious experience where he's amazed by like the walls and like wealth of Theodosius the Great's Constantinople, um, and so we still have like traditional Roman historiography ideas of like there's this idea of the Roman Empire, barbaric people, but this Christian universe perspective is starting to like seep in, saying like, oh, they're all right if they're a Nicene Christians. Just make
Mhm.
sure they're not Arian Christians,
Yeah.
even with Romans. That's what Jordanes was all about. And Saint Isidore, I'm skipping over most of my essays. Just
Mhm.
Saint Isidore, he was writing in Gothic Iberia in the 600s, 700s, and was curious. He begins his history. It's called the Deeds. Or was it Deeds? But it's like history of the Goths, Vandals, and Swabians. And he begins his book about the Goths by citing the Furies and Fates, I believe, or he references this Greek mythology. He's Saint Isidore of Seville later on, so he's a Roman bishop. So it's very curious because there's this one book I read for the essay. It's a really good book. It's called World of Late Antiquity by Peter Brown. He wrote it in the 70s. Um, the idea is that I mentioned before, like the Roman Empire fell in
Mhm.
476, or at least the western half fell. But that's misleading in that people usually talk about like the political machinations of 476. That's when Odoacer he deposed Romulus Augustus in Rome, and Zeno, the emperor in the east, he crowns him as the king of Italy in the patrician. Uh, um, Peter Brown he points out that Western Rome it lived on. It's not like a political transformation because normal life didn't really change for the average citizen in Rome or really throughout the western half of the empire because there's still traditional ideas of Romantas. Romantas is like what it means to be a Roman, like what makes a
Yeah.
Roman a Roman. Uh, Odoacer, he is a patrician. That's a very Roman title. Rex Italia,
Mhm.
that's in Latin. That's a Roman title, if you think about it. Uh, Life, the economy still went on. So what Peter Brown says, what happened with the western half of the empire? It underwent a cultural, social transformation throughout the years. It's not this fall of Rome, but it's really like Rome continued to live on, but in other forms. Like if Charlemagne, he portrayed himself as like a Roman emperor. He
Mhm.
acted like a Roman emperor. Theodoric the Great in Italy, the Ostrogoth, he was like a Roman emperor in all but name. Uh, and so Isidore in Seville, he treats he makes he stresses numerous times uh the year of the consulship. He begins the year with the consulship. He doesn't say, oh, on 620 AD, blah blah blah. He says in the year of the consulship of Flavius, whoever, this happened in Iberia.
Mhm.
Because this is Spain was under control of the Visigoths, but visit Seville, I mean Isidore, he makes he stresses the consulship of the eastern half of the empire. Oh, during the reign of Emperor Justinian, this happened.
Mhm.
So what I'm arguing with my essay and Peter Brown too, is that Roman historiography still continue to live on as late as the 600s, 700s at least, I would say. That's my personal argument.
Alright.
And it's just more personal thing is, stepping down from my lecture pedestal
Mhm.
is that, it's just a lot of people should just read primary sources more. I get it, reading is boring, you don't have that much time, it's like this, whole block of text you have to get
Mhm.
through, but it's really worth it once you have the patience, because it's really because these are the words of people from thousands of years ago whom they felt important to write down,
Mhm.
and they're kinda like stories they're stories and entertainment in themselves, and also like what can we learn from them, and it's just really fascinating reading ancient sources because we're
Yeah.
still human at the end of the day. So that's what was on my mind for a while. I just want to get it off my chest.
Wow,
um
interesting.
that that was like my Q&A portion because of their presentations. We had a Q&A portion,
Yeah.
and I, he did ding me for going overtime because it's supposed to be like 30 minutes and like 5 minutes for like questions, but I'm pretty sure I talked about like for like 20. He said 20 minutes for a
Wow.
presentation and questions is how long I went on.
That means you're
I mean, that's
passionate.
what yeah, yeah. That's like one of the questions too. It's like, I can tell you're really passionate about the subject. What
Mm.
leads you to this? And I explained why. Because
Mhm.
isn't it just not cool of like late Romans just
Yeah.
fighting and all this political drama
Mhm.
going on and how like the empire changed and remained the same over centuries is
Yeah.
really cool to talk about.
Wow. That's a
That's
lot to
my something to
unpack.
discuss. Yeah.
Alright, well, go I guess to change the subject again,
Yeah.
just since it's almost New Year's and
Hmm.
we almost completed another year, 2025, just
Hmm.
looking back at it, what would you say your favorite moments are of 2025?
My favorite moments of 2025. Uh when I jumped inside the dirty pool at your house,
Mm,
that was a fun moment.
that was a good moment.
Uh, it was for
Ooh,
Pope
wow.
Leo, by the way.
Just to give context, his team lost,
At
and
basketball,
f
yeah.
he's the only one on his team that was brave enough to jump in the pool as the punishment. So you have to give
Even
him
more
props.
context, I was the only one to bring swimming trunks for the get together because my man here, he said, "Oh, it's gonna be a pool party." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But nobody else brought it.
That's on them though. To be fair, that's on them. There is a pool,
There was a pool, but I'm pretty sure you said pool party in the messages.
maybe.
And I did pick up that was sarcasm, but I took it as truth, shoved it in my trunks, and then I was like, I might as well just jump in for the team.
But we did play a 3-on-3 basketball, and the losing team was supposed to jump in the pool, but you took one
Yep,
for the
yep.
team, and you jumped in, like, 3 times and 1 time for the Pope. It was a good
One
moment.
time for the Pope because your dad was like, "Oh, I wasn't recording." So I was like, "Okay, Mr. Weird."
Um,
Uh,
for me, I'd say my favorite moment from 2025, um, it was kind of a mundane year for me personally. There wasn't a lot of ups and lows. But, there's a clear winner for me. It would be going to like, traveling to Europe for, like,
yeah, yeah,
that
that would be cool.
I guess
That
it's
would
not a
yeah.
mundane year then, but still, like, I went to Norway and Italy, and it was a really good time.
And you
S
went through Germany, right? On the
Yeah,
way to
so
Italy? Yeah.
well, we flew over Germany. We landed in Denmark for, like, a layover flight.
I thought you stayed in Germany or something,
No,
but
no, no. Yeah, we went in Norway. We stayed at Oslo for a couple days, and we went to
mhm,
Bergen. It was really, really nice and like beautiful. And then we flew to Italy. We actually did like almost a full Italy tour. Like we visited 5 cities in like a week and a half. We
you
started,
started in Milan
yeah, we
or
started in the
Venice?
north. We started in Milan,
Okay.
which is like the fashion capital of the world,
Yeah,
and
yeah, it's like
it was really
the modern
interesting.
yeah, yeah.
And then like we saw the Duomo and stuff. Then we went and took a train over to Venice, and we rode the
Mhm,
gondolas and stuff, and that was beautiful. Then we took a train then we took a train to, like, Tuscany, and we,
mhm,
like, went on, like, horseback ride through Tuscany. It was really it was awesome to see that, like, the landscape there was beautiful. Then we went
mhm,
down to we actually rented a car and drove to Naples, or more specifically, Pompeii, which is, like, right next to
mhm.
Naples, and that was interesting because the driving there is really, really, tough.
The roads are small.
The roads are small, and the drivers are fearless, and so if you ever go there, you have to be ready for that. But then we saw Pompeii there, which it's just fascinating seeing the history of just like a place that was just like burned down in an instant. That was really cool. And then while in Pompeii, there was like this like gladiator rink. Like we actually were able to go inside of it. And I did, if you watch Gladiator, like there's the scene where he picks up the dirt or whatever. I did that. And then I have an
Oh,
image of me doing that. That was awesome.
I
And
think you're
then,
going to say, like, you're gonna, like, wave your arms around saying, like,
are
"Are
you
you not
not entertained?
entertained?"
No, I didn't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I,
uh,
but then after
and then
Pompeii,
your dad, do you like the
no, we fought. We had like an image of like us like getting ready to fight.
well, I think I saw that on your dad's Facebook or
Yeah.
something, but
Yeah, and then after Pompeii, we like drove around Naples a little bit, but it was chaotic. I probably would
Yeah,
not
yeah.
recommend driving around there if you don't know
Did
what
you
you're
try the
doing.
pizza?
Yeah, the pizza there is the best pizza I've ever had.
Mhm,
There was like this one guy who was
mm.
like 5-star Google, 5-star Google. Are you from Chicago? So that's where we got our pizza from. It was pretty authentic.
5 star.
And then we went to
Was it 5
Rome.
star?
It was 5-star. We did give it five
Yeah,
star. Then we went to Rome,
you went
and
to Rome.
there's you can't go wrong with Rome. There's so much.
Yeah, obviously not, yeah.
We saw the Colosseum. You saw there's just so much. It was like what was it called? Cat. 1 second. Then we saw what's it called? The the
Mouth of
Pantheon. The
Truth.
Pantheon. Um,
Yeah.
there's what's it called? There's the area next to the Colosseum, like Palpinite Hill, the
Oh,
hill,
Palatine Hill.
Palatine
Yeah.
Hill, where it's like
Yep,
the really old Roman stuff. It's
yep,
really interesting.
yeah.
We visited the church. I think the one with Peter or no Saul, like the
St.
church.
Peter's Basilica.
We saw that. We saw that one. No, that's
Mhm.
crazy. That's the
The
Vatican.
Vatican.
Then we
Yeah,
also
yeah.
saw another one, which was like on the outskirts of Rome a bit, and it actually had the remains of Saul or Paul. I mean,
Mm.
the which is really interesting.
Like the bones of Paul or
Yeah, yeah,
something.
yeah.
Interesting.
It was. Nah, I mean, it was like one of the craziest moments to see that,
Mm,
like this, because you
mm.
read about it and you read about it, and then
And
actually
then you actually see
see it. Yeah,
something like
it's
that. Yeah,
interesting. It's interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
I'd say out of that the whole trip, I'd say Rome or Venice were my favorite in Italy. But you
yeah,
can't really go wrong with any of them. Pompeii is cool, but I wouldn't recommend staying there for over a couple days. Just
yeah.
just just due to like there's the traffic and like I think there's more to
There's other
see
stuff
of.
to see. Yeah.
But for me, another I guess now that I look back at it, I did do a little more than I thought this year. I also went to
Mhm.
Hawaii.
Well, that's true. I
Yeah,
forgot that.
which this trip was like completely unplanned. It wasn't even my idea. I just like randomly
Yeah,
got like a call from my cousin who's like, "Hey, do you want to go to Hawaii?" Like I was like, "Okay, sure." Which was
yeah.
awesome. Like we went to Maui. It was my
Mm,
first time on a plane since I was like 3. So I had
mm.
actually like I had to go on a plane by like solo without like anyone because my cousins live farther away. So we met up in Atlanta. That was something.
Solo travel? That's
Yeah, solo
pretty cool.
traveled. Yeah.
Uh, Another highlight I would say was during the Brewer playoff game against
Mm-hmm.
game matches against the, Dodgers. Uh, so my friend, you know who it is, but,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
for anonymity's sake, he
We'll
said,
call him
Do you
Bob.
wanna go" Bob. Bob says, "You wanna go to the Brewer game on Monday?" I'm like, "Sure." No, not on Monday, but he texted me on Monday, said, "Do you wanna go to the one tomorrow?" Because I believe it was the last one in
Mm,
Milwaukee. So I was like, "Sure." And then I mentioned it to some of the Japanese exchange students on campus, and they want to see Otani. So they're like, Seth, can we go? Can we go? Can we go? It's like, sure.
mm,
So we all four of us went to Milwaukee. It was their first time in the stadium, and I think it's like my third
mhm,
time being there because I was with you that one time, and then I
mm,
was like one time when I was a kid, and I think it was Bob's first time as well.
mm.
Uh, Unfortunately, we did lose the match and the series, but it was still
Yeah.
cool being in that environment again, especially
Mhm.
with two people who are not from the country, just experiencing it for the first time. So that was cool.
Yeah.
That's another highlight of the year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good highlight. But also, it would have been complete if we did win, because
I
unfortunately,
know. I
we are
know.
big Brewer fans, and this is
Yeah.
our best
Yeah.
year in a franchise. Then we go to
It was
the
just so
championship
disappointing.
game, and then we lose 4-0. We don't win a game, and it's
We
so
had
sad.
such a good offense. We swept the
I
Dodgers during
know.
the regular
We were
season,
6-0
but
versus the
then
Dodgers, yeah.
yeah, we swept them, and then we lay absolute stinkers each game. I don't think we got more than 1 run per game,
Yeah,
if I
I
remember
don't think
right.
we did. Yeah, we had, like, historically bad offense that ended that
And
series.
it was just disappointing, but it was still good being in that environment, just
Yeah,
just seeing it with my own eyes,
you have to enjoy it
being
because
with
the Brewers
friends,
probably will not be back. Unfortunately, because
You
that's
never
just the
know,
way
you
how
never know,
baseball works, but
you never know, you never know.
now, to pivot from
Yeah.
2025, we're actually gonna look at 2026. Do you
Mhm.
have any bold predictions
Bold
for the next
predictions.
year that's coming up? Could be about anything.
Um, yeah, I was saying off camera to my friend before that, we're gonna beat Joe Rogan,
Oh,
as number 1
yeah.
podcast. That's my
That
one of my bold predictions, but an
that's
actual
not
serious
bold. Of course
bold
we are.
obvious, it's obvious.
Yeah.
Uh, bold prediction. Uh, I don't really like predicting stuff because, you never know anything about the
Alright.
future. This is me in general, but, like, bold prediction or just a prediction if you just give an answer for the sake of an answer is that I think that Dems are gonna take the House and Senate, just barely,
Mm,
though, during the midterms, just barely, I think.
alright.
That's one of my predictions.
I think my bold prediction I'll start off not bold. I'm gonna say that the Green Bay Packers are gonna win the Super Bowl. That's
We're
not bold.
also big Packer fans along with being Brewers fans.
Mhm. I think they're gonna win the Super Bowl. I know it looks bleak. This is filmed right after we collapsed in epic fashion against the Bears,
Oh, I don't wanna talk about
but we're gonna
that.
win the Super Bowl, obviously, in
I
2026.
like the confidence. I like the confidence. I like the optimism.
If I
And
had
a more bold
a
prediction?
more bold. See, I could go a lot of ways here.
Mhm.
I hmm, hmm, alright. Well, I do think that the Ukraine and Russia war will be over in 2026.
Really,
Yeah.
that's gonna
I
be a
I think it's gonna be over in
that's a
2026.
huge bold prediction.
Yeah. I think so.
Okay.
That's my bold prediction, and when I'm right, give me my money.
How much do you want?
I'll take a dollar.
A dollar. Yeah, that's not gonna happen anytime soon.
Doubters, haters. I I can see
Um,
the writing on the wall. Putin's getting he's like, "Man, I'm not gonna win this war anytime soon. I'm just gonna surrender." Then Ukraine might just, like, take some land, maybe get up to Moscow, and what if you surrender, you get 99% war score
yeah,
in EU4,
and
so
that's in EU4, that's how it works,
yep.
but pretty sure not in real life.
Well, see, if you don't get capture all of, like, the country in 5 years, I'm pretty sure, like, automatically, like, your war score go, like, tanks. So,
So do you think Zelensky is in his office right now, he's just staring at, like, the war score,
yeah,
like,
yeah, he pretty much
screen,
has
and
EU4
he's
pulled
just
up.
like yeah, then
Yeah.
he's just like, "Oh, what am I gonna do?" But yeah,
In all seriousness, no, I do
yeah.
think that there's a chance that it does end.
I just to start just for conversation's sake, I'm just gonna disagree with it. I know it's a bold prediction
Mm,
and blah blah blah, but I'm just going to disagree because we see no signs that Russia is being sincere about this process at all.
alright.
Because they're still fighting, they're still
Mm,
bombing with drones,
yeah,
Ukrainian cities. I mean, they're still fighting. If you're sincere about it, you would scale back or
yeah.
just stop fighting completely. And then, why is Putin in Ukraine in the
Well,
first place? So it's like
I think if it does end, Ukraine will have to give up some land. I think that's the compromise that's gonna have to happen, and if that does
yeah,
happen, then it might end. Oh,
yeah. Um, I hope that won't be the case because, it just sucks that Putin might get away with,
yeah,
Ukrainian land.
that's
Um,
yeah, I mean, it's a tough
so
situation, though, because if you it could just keep on going, though, if you don't try to reach peace. So
yeah, but we need like a peace that will actually last because, Putin was able to invade Ukraine in the first place.
mhm.
And if that Ukraine did give up their nuclear
Yeah,
weapons
yeah, yeah,
being like
that's
post-Soviet,
yeah.
and I mean, Putin pushed to take Crimea in 2014 in the first place.
Mm,
And they were already in Ukraine during like the Donbass revolts. They
mm.
were already like fighting there, but this is just the actual full-on invasion now.
Yeah,
But Putin with his and his diplomats for their peace deal, they want, Donetsk, the Donbass, they want Crimea, they don't want Ukraine joining NATO. They want them to demilitarize. Like that's just making Ukraine another easy target in the future just for them to go in again. So we need a peace that will actually like I want Ukraine to see joining like NATO. I want to see like an actual guaranteed like border of some sort.
yeah, I
And
agree.
like, ideal best case scenario, I want Crimea and Donbass because the Russian occupation of those regions given up. But as you pointed out, because we're in a war of attrition right now.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that. I do think that that would be ideal and the best, like, outcome, but I just don't
mhm,
think that I think there's gonna be a peace soon in 2026, I predicted, but
okay.
unfortunately, I don't think it's gonna benefit Ukraine as much as we would hope because just
Yeah.
because of all the losing support kind of, like, because it's just been going on for so long, people are just kinda going numb to it, you know? That's at least my view of it.
Yeah.
Personally, because, like, I know
For
when it
me,
first started, everyone was like, "Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine." It's not really
yeah,
as
fully backing, but now there's skepticism
yeah, a lot of
and like
skepticism.
just the skepticism and just lack of general knowledge now because of the Israel Palestine situation,
Mhm.
and other stuff, brewing throughout the world.
Yeah,
And so eyes are, being drawn away
yeah.
since, 2023
Mhm,
at least. Uh, but for me, like if I were to set a date for peace, I would say like until Putin is out of power
mhm.
or like Trump is out of
Alright.
power, I would say, even though he's pushing it like he wants to push this peace process, but I don't think until one of those two leaders are out of power and Russia's being sincere, actually become sincere about their side of the deal.
Mhm.
And for a date, I would say like 2028 or 2023 for at least an actual serious
2023?
process. 2030,
Oh,
2030. I meant. Yeah, I
alright,
meant 20. Did I say 2020? Yeah, I meant
alright.
2030. Like
Alright, alright,
2028, 2020, 2030.
alright.
Yeah, we're used to saying 2020 a lot, so that's why I
Yeah.
said 2030. No, yeah, I meant 2028 or 2030.
So, alright, just one last I have a question.
Yeah.
If Trump is able to end the war and Ukraine doesn't lose any land, should he get the Nobel Peace Prize?
I mean, I would say yeah, because that's a huge feat in itself because you get a aggressive dictator to agree
Mhm,
to a peace deal, and then you get Ukraine getting all its land back, which was occupied since 2014, 2015.
mm,
And then which is gonna be a huge character development on Trump's part if he actually, like, shakes down Putin to agree to that. So,
mhm.
like, in a fantasy world,
That would
ideal
be the
world,
ideal.
that would be, like, a huge turnaround of
Uh-huh.
events. And, like, that kinda reminds me of another thing I talked about,
Mm,
like, with, friends and family is that remember when, Putin visited Alaska
mhm.
this year?
Yeah.
It would've been fun because since, he has a criminal warrant on him right now from
Mhm.
international court, so it would've been funny if he sat down with Trump, like, all the windows that suddenly, like, came unbarred, and
Like a
there's, like, a red
cartoon?
alarm,
Or
and then he's like then Trump gets up, "Mr. Putin, you are under
no, he
arrest."
takes off a mask and it's like
Yeah.
it's not even Trump. That's funny.
It's like a bounty hunter or something, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
That'd be funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
So, that's your bold prediction,
yeah, that's my bold.
that's my disagreement with your
Yeah.
bold, yeah.
We'll see how that plays out, and, if it does happen, I will revisit it, and I will remind you that I did.
Yeah, you will, like, on our podcast
I'll
episode
play
about
the
it, you're
clip.
gonna be
I will
like
play the clip.
every single day you're gonna send me the clip or something like that,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
gonna be edits with, like Brazilian funk music in the background. It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be, like, deep fried images, it's gonna be,
Yeah.
like, transition, yeah, yeah.
What's it called? Bro gets owned and, like, whatever. It's gonna be like a podcast. It's like
It's like air horn it's like when some
uh,
my image is gonna be, like, fake tears and then, like, air horns or something like that, but
Anyway, do you have anything else?
one thing since we're talking about, like,
Yeah.
year in
Yeah,
review
yeah, yeah.
stuff, one thing I started getting into is, journaling,
Mhm. Oh,
because, um I was inspired by other figures, and I think it was since I think I'm a more of a better writer than I am a speaker.
alright.
Viewers, please let us know. uh, Um, so I thought journaling would be like a cool way to write down what I thought was interesting or like stresses that I'm dealing with right
Mhm.
now. So one thing I was aware of before, but I started like reading every single day is Tolstoy's
Uh,
Circle of Reading. Um, so Leo Tolstoy, if you know anything about him, he wrote War and Peace. That
mhm,
gigantic book that's like the go-to reference point for like Russian novels.
mhm,
um, his circle of reading. So Tolstoy, during his life, he was son of a nobleman, and he lived, in his own words, a dissolute life. So he was like gambling, chasing after women. But then he had like a religious experience. He talks about in his book Resurrection.
mhm,
Um, so he so if you saw images of Tolstoy, you probably see him like, white hair, long flowing white beard. He kind of looks like a wizard
mhm,
or like a hermit.
mhm,
Uh, and so he lived a very ascetic religious life. He inspired people like MLK Jr., Gandhi, well, with his beliefs, especially with like nonviolent
mhm,
resistance, peace. And in his last decade of his life, he compiled like a calendar of reading together called the Circle of, what we call the Circle of Reading, but he called it Circle of Reading and daily reading or something like that. Um, and so for each, basically what it is for each day of the calendar. So for today, December 22nd, he would put like a set of quotes, like sections that he wrote or like of what he summarizes, what he thought was important in life, or quotes from other people.
mhm.
So you have quotes from like the famous Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius,
Yeah.
the English polymath John Ruskin, um, Rousseau, Kant. Then there's like various other figures,
Mhm,
even like Hindu and Confucius, and like Hindu writings, Confucius sayings.
mhm.
Um, and there would be like a topic for the day. So yesterday it was about um, I don't have my journal in hand right now, but yesterday it was about uh
I can
peace.
I can pause and you can get a journal.
Sure. Yeah, I found my journal. So for the entries, some of the quotes I wrote down from yesterday, it's more about like belief in God. Um, So what he wrote down, one of his quotes he wrote down is, "At the apex of his consciousness, the human being is alone. The solitude can feel strange, unfamiliar, and heavy. People who are unwise try to escape the heavy feeling of this solitude by means of diversions, and they immediately descend from this highest point to the lowest. Wise people keep themselves at this point, at this height by prayer."
Interesting.
And so he would usually start off like each day with a quote, like a summary by him,
Mhm,
but then he would have like other writers like relate to that with their quotes. So, for example, after that, he follows up with Pascal, Blaise Pascal, the French philosopher. How good it is for for a person when wearied and exhausted by searches for the good in worldly life, he stretches out his hands towards God.
alright.
So there would be stuff like that. So vary between like religion, and then we'll talk about like what it is to live the good life and various other topics.
Interesting, alright.
Wise men to talk about wise women, wise men.
So you
And
journal daily on that?
yeah, so so my routine is that I would near like, after dinner, after I'm ready to go to bed, before I'm ready to go to bed, I would like check the website because there's a website that
Mhm.
catalogs each day.
Yeah.
So it's like a calendar, so you just go to it, and then so I go to the day, and then I check out the entries, and then I write something that I resonate with, and then I write down like my own thoughts for the day, or I just write down other stuff.
Interesting, alright.
Um, so it's cool just to think about, but also like finding out other people I didn't really know about, like John Ruskin. I
Mhm,
didn't really know about, but he's an English polymath. So he talks about anything from architecture to of the environment
mhm.
to religion to art. So
Alright.
he talked about everything. So he's a fascinating
Mhm.
figure in his own right. Even the economy, he wrote an entire
Okay.
book about.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. So that's Tolstoy's circle of reading. Some of it, if the viewers know anything about Tolstoy, but to tell you too, so Tolstoy would be identified with what we would call like Christian socialism or Christian anarchism, um, which is fascinating to read about, and some of it I do agree with. We were talking about like materialism
Mhm,
before of the Christmas season, and especially with other like authors. he puts down would definitely, agree with
Yeah.
this point of view. So
Yeah.
there's like that bias coming in, but it's just good to know about that. It's just good to
Yeah.
read about sort of thing. So that's why like engaging with Tolstoy
Mhm.
is circle reading.
So how long would you say you've been journaling about it, though?
Let's check the date. The first circle of reading date, or just like when I just started?
I get both, I guess, I don't know.
When I first started, technically it was the 19th of May of this year.
Alright.
But then I didn't really start journaling until, because I would make like sporadic
Mhm.
entries until that's June, until like September.
Alright.
So I started like in early summer, but then I really started going into in
Yeah.
October. Yeah,
Y
September, October
Yeah,
period.
journaling's a great way to just, like, get your thoughts on paper and stuff too, like, I don't
Mhm,
I personally, I also have started journaling, like, probably a couple months
mhm.
ago. I just before bed, I usually write the date and just
Yeah,
kinda
yeah,
recap
exactly,
my thoughts and
exactly.
stuff, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good thing, and it helps me relax before bed too.
Yeah. So like same thought process here.
Mhm.
But also it's like a good for me, I just don't like category quotes or
Yeah, okay.
what happened that day. For me, I also like use it as like a writing
Yeah, yeah,
practice
yeah.
because whenever I have like a really good like scene idea, I just want to write it down, or if I have like a big opinion about something. Because like if you remember that one day, there was like that one painting I sent, like those two twins.
Yeah, I think I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, I wrote an entire page and a half about that and why I found that,
Interesting.
pretty fascinating because I find it cool that if you read like the journals of, the great figures of before, they go on like diatribes like that all the time.
Mhm,
And so I think it's like a good thing to like practice my writing skills, but also just like able to articulate what I think and feel about something,
mhm,
because it's a good idea to write down something, and then because you know what I'm talking about. It's like with your brain, you can actually process,
mhm,
and then you can articulate it later. Because whenever like you want to talk to somebody, you have an idea what you want to talk about before, but once you actually get to them, you're like, oh, I forgot what I want to say, or
yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. But then yeah, so it's useful to for that as well.
Alright, fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, do you have anything else, or
Um. Not for the journaling thing, but since we're talking about opinions, and I
Mhm,
went on the entire lecture,
alright.
for YouTube history.
Mm.
It's kind of bad. I'm not talking about like the AI sloth that's out there, but if you go to like popular channels, for example, Baz Battles, Kings and Generals, what's that
PewDiePie.
one?
He's old.
What's that one channel called? Extra Credits. They do like the animation
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
and then like I forgot who they are, like what their channel
Mm.
name is, but I think they're called Blue and Red. Overly Sarcastic Productions.
So
Yeah, those
you're
ones.
talking about, like, the history channels, not the history of
Like
YouTube.
no, no, not history of YouTube. I'm talking about, yeah,
Okay.
the history
Alright,
community
alright,
channels
I got
for
you
the
now.
most part, like the really popular ones. Um, I reason why is because they make the classic mistake of not citing their sources,
Mm.
or
So I remember I sent you a history video that I enjoyed.
yeah,
It
it
was
was about
about Europe, just the Europe in
transition
general.
of Roman to medieval. So it's actually what I was talking about before, but you sent me that.
Mhm.
Let me see if I can find a record
I think it was, like, maybe 3 months ago.
3 months ago, but uh, I'm jumping to it.
I just
Yeah, I
thought it was
found
really
it.
fascinating visually. I don't know how accurate it was, but
Yeah, I mean, I only watched like the first half because, but the thing is, but with history YouTube or history tube, for the most part, unless you know what you're looking for, they have like the cool visuals.
yeah.
They really drag you in with that.
Okay.
Like they have like video game footage, or they have like really impressive design production
Like, with the
value.
maps and, like, showing the
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, or like Europe, Asia, or the
Yeah, and
figures.
just showing, like, how, like, the borders change is also, like, really cool.
Yeah, yeah, so they have really good visual design.
Mm,
But once you get into the meat of their actual thesis or what they're trying to do, it's pretty found lacking most of the time,
mm,
or there's like inaccuracies. Because you also notice it as well. Um, because in that video we're referencing, which is called Medieval Europe 1000 Years in 20 Minutes, by the channel How So, and there's a picture of Charlemagne, I believe, on the
Mhm.
front. Um, I forgot which part of the video, but there's one part where it made it seem like when Theodosius passed away in 395, that's when the empire actually split into two, the western and the
Alright.
eastern half. Even though since Diocletian, there's always been a tetrarchy of different emperors ruling different parts
Mhm.
of the empire. But it's a if any people with like general knowledge or like popular knowledge would think that would be the case. Oh,
Yeah.
395 is when western half, then you have the eastern half, which would become the Byzantine Empire. I like doing air quotes on misleading statements that say I have in mind. Byzantine Empire.
Mhm.
Uh, but no, it's always been a tetrarchy. So there's like four emperor, or no, there's two emperors, and then so kind of think of a president and vice president. So
Alright.
there's a Augustus of the western half of this one region, and then his vice president will be the Caesar. So when
Alright.
the Augustus dies, the Caesar will take over theoretically.
Mhm.
Right. So, if I remember right, so after the crisis of the third century, Diocletian wins, but he knows that he can't rule the entire thing by himself. So that's why he split into two different parts and he has that administration thing.
Mhm.
But in the video, it made it seem like that's when Theodosius decided Honorius will get the Western, Arcadius will get the Eastern.
Alright.
It's not been, no, it's been like that since the 300s.
Alright. So
Yeah, early 300s. Yeah.
so do you think that that's a big problem with history too, doing that?
Hi there's this other video I watched yesterday by the popular channel Armchair Historian, if you know that
I
one.
think you sent that before her. Yeah.
I also sent it to a few of our other mutual friends, and I complained about it in
Alright.
text. But uh, before we get to that, it's like what I'm trying to should say is that they would take like popular or knowledge or like what people think is accurate or like
Mhm.
common misconceptions, right? Or they would rely on outdated mainstream scholarship that's now outdated, but they
Alright.
since they don't have that enough time or based on their skills, they put that into the video, and it but then they lack to cite it, or if they do cite it, the citations are I mean, it's kind of subjective, but based on my own prior knowledge on late antiquity, it's pretty lacking. So,
Alright.
armchair historian example, um, let me pull it up. So he talks about the fall, again, air quotes, of the western half of the empire.
Mhm.
It's called Rome After the Fall. It was just published yesterday, posted yesterday, I believe. Let's see. My thing is really laggy. 2 days ago, yeah. And uh, the only two primary, so for history videos, or history in general, you should, if you get it, what I know from what professors taught me and from my own cursory reading is that you really need primary sources. Or
Mhm.
if you are IB history classes,
Yep.
they always talk about primary sources.
Mhm.
Same thing in my college, primary sources. In this video, there's only two. There's Procopius, and there's like this random letter.
So, in this whole
But
video, there's
most of it is
2.
secondary. What? Sorry.
In the whole video, there's 2 primary
There's
sources?
2 primary sources, but the thing is the video relies on secondary sources,
Okay.
which is not wrong, but if you only have 2 primary sources, and if two of those secondary sources are written by a guy, Peter Heather, he is a late Roman historian,
Mhm.
and then, like, it's starting to be really fiddly because,
Yeah.
um, the I took down some notes about it. In fact,
Alright.
uh, let's see what I said to him.
So you messaged the person? Or you
No, not the actual channel, but like just our mutual friend
Oh, I see.
because of yeah. Um what I say? Uh so like I mentioned Peter Heather. So for the secondary, so Peter Heather, so one of the biggest debates right now, late Roman
Mhm.
history, is barbarians themselves. So if you know anything about the fall of Rome or
Mhm.
about that time period, people usually say, "Oh, the Goths, the Vandals, they came in, they ruined everything, and then that's how the empire collapsed, at least in the West, right?
Yeah.
So Heather is kind of like the proponent for the most part of those theories. It's termed the mover theory of
Mhm.
migration. So these people they come in and Rome fell because of external pressures because of those barbarian migrations.
Mhm.
And that's what the video seems to be saying for the most. There's like this curious dichotomy, which I'll get into
Alright.
because so you get phrases like barbarization of the military. I don't think it says that in the video, but it's implied with the visuals because you see like Roman legionaries, but they have like big beards,
Yeah.
mustaches, blonde hair, which is associated with barbarians, right?
Mhm.
Um, it's implied in the video, and I think Peter Heather says it. There's this idea of barbarization of the military. So the argument goes, the Roman military began to collapse because they allowed too many barbarian migrants and did not assimilate them into the military enough in order to become a effective combat force, like it was during like the time of Augustus
Mhm.
and Trajan, which is not true. Guy Halsall's book, which you should read. I think you would like it. It's called Barbarian Migrations in the Roman West.
So it's called what? I'll write it down.
So it's written by Guy Halsall, so Halsall. And for the viewers as well, read this book. It's important.
I'll put it in the
Uh,
description.
yeah, Guy Halsall, Barbarian Migrations in the Roman West. It's a thick book. I don't have its back in my dorm room right now, but I would show it on screen. But it's a really in depth. It's a really engaging book. When he goes onto the topic of barbarization of the military, he points out that how like in America we have helicopters like the Mohawk,
Mhm.
or we have like Tomahawk
Mhm.
missile. It's the same idea with the Romans because the argument says like, oh, these Roman units they have names that are associated with barbarians,
Mhm.
or they use barbarian practices like whenever like an emperor is proclaimed emperor, they would put the emperor on their shields and they would like bounce him up and down like they raised the emperor. That's a apparently a barbarian practice.
Mhm.
But we know from ethnic studies and from my America example, sometimes we think of an identity for the barbarians themselves, and then we emulate that identity.
Mhm.
Like when the Washington Commanders were the Redskins, people would show up like in the
Yeah.
chieftain headgear.
Chief Wahoo, I think, or I don't know what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, it's like when the yeah, or like in the Florida colleges, like the Seminoles,
Mhm.
something like that. We have like that idea of oh, this is what Native Americans are like,
Mhm.
even though we don't then take into account like their culture and that's it, or like
Yeah.
their history, right? Same idea going on with the Romans, the barbarians, because they associate them with ferocity, lack of virtue. They're impatient. Once they start to lose, they become all defeatist, pessimistic. That's what Tacitus says about the Gauls and some of the
Mhm.
German tribes. Uh, and so that's the same idea going on with the Roman military because it's cool to emulate somebody that's ferocious. Like, yeah, we are the Alemanni, we're the Alemanni unit, or
Mhm.
but we know from it was still an effective fighting force, and from like any documentation we find from the period, they're still Roman. They consider themselves Roman.
Mhm.
These soldiers. It's just like their own culture, like military culture. It's like their
Yeah.
own culture. It's not barbarization. It's like this pseudo barbarization. They think they're trying to act like
Mhm.
barbarians. It's just not they are actually Germanic or whatever.
Mhm.
So that's one thing about the video. That's one thing with Heather in the video, which I disagree with, and which is I would say flat out wrong, but it's a matter of history debate.
Yeah.
Uh, Another thing which I referenced before in my earlier in the podcast is did like transformation theory versus collapse theory. Collapse theory, Western half fell, case closed.
Mhm.
Transformation theory, it just underwent a process of going into different forms of Rome, right? Because in the video, this weird dichotomy happens where they acknowledge the daily life of the Roman citizen didn't really change all that much. It was kind of like regular business.
Mhm.
But then, so this goes into the thing I was saying about if the Goths they still took on Roman titles, acted like Roman emperors because Theodoric and Odoacer they still upkept Roman infrastructure like the Colosseum and
Mhm.
like different forums and stuff in cities throughout their territory. The Frankish kings they threw games, emperors through games, right?
Mhm.
Um, so did it really fall? Is a it just went by other names, right? This
Yeah.
idea of Rome, and because I mean, again, there's only so much you can talk about in a YouTube video.
Yeah.
There's time constraints, and with armchair historian history in general, uh, he's also developing a game right now that I like playing. Master of Command. Shout
Alright.
out, it's a pretty
Sh
good game. So
shout out, guys.
there's like different uh stuff that he's doing. So I get it. You don't have all that time to research and everything, but only two sources. Procopius. Again, Procopius, he was like the main historian we think of
Mhm.
when we're talking about the Eastern Romans. He's very hostile against non-Roman people.
Mhm.
Like when Justinian, when they were reconquering Italy, he thought the Goths would get up and return north of the Danube.
Mhm.
Like they were literally like,
Yeah,
okay, we're
the
not here anymore. They would just leave. Like it's kind of mirrors like historical, like not historical, like modern rhetoric today, like oh, go back to your country,
Mhm.
that sort of thing. Like that sort
Yeah.
of idea. That's what Procopius literally thought. And then
Interesting.
Jordanis is like, yeah, they're here to stay.
Yeah.
So it's like what I'm trying to say is like you're ignoring like this fascinating, like you have a prime opportunity to like introduce viewers who don't know all that much to get past like this video game popular knowledge of the period into the actual the realm of late Roman history. And you can do this, but obviously you can find it with more in-depth channels.
Mhm.
They're out there. Um, and again, some people are just there for the casual learning. Some people are not there for like the hardcore reading primary sources, every blah blah blah.
Mhm.
But it's just like at least mention something like that. They just don't say that this is a unified narrative. This is it. This is case closed. No, different Roman historians thought differently from each other for the most part. There's a whole historiographical debate about this topic that's you have a prime opportunity to at least mention, saying like, oh, Heather says this, or at least Halsall says
Mhm.
this. And so that's one of my main some of my gripes with that particular video. And you can see the same pattern being repeated with
Yeah.
other videos at well, where they barely cite their sources. Or one infamous example is extra credits when they were
Alright.
talking about um, Roman history too. They would just cite Plutarch all the time.
Yeah, which
That's it.
that's it?
And Plutarch, he's not writing strictly history. He wants to write about biographies of people and compare them with each other. So he's going to twist a few things here and there, just trying to get his point
Mm,
across, or just like there's other stuff you're leaving out, right? Because I did not mention archaeological evidence.
mhm.
It's like even though that's not strictly history, because history is like what you write down, that's history. And then there's archaeological evidence you need to get into. And then there's this other complicated stuff, and there's a few good history channels. There's one Veritas at Caritas, uh, and then there's Schwerpunkt, uh, who goes like Schwerpunkt. Um, truth be told, I have not finished a single video of his because they're over like
Yeah.
1 hour long. And
Uh-huh.
he's German. He has like a very thick German accent, and the continental teaching style. They're very rambling, so
Mm,
sometimes you really have to pay attention
mhm,
to it. But he knows his stuff. Veritas et Caritas, and then there's the cynical historian who I assume some viewers might know, and maybe even you.
mm,
Um, because they actually cite their sources or they reference it in their videos. They make great pains.
mhm.
Um, so there's some channels like that, but like popular stuff uh, fails for the most part.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Oh, interesting. I do have one question. Do you know the
yeah,
channel Oversimplified, I think it's called?
yeah.
What
I do very well. Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that one?
Okay, so divide. So one thing I think oversimplified understands the most is communicating to a very popular audience,
Mhm.
and I think he does know his stuff because but the thing is, it's oversimplified.
So,
So,
yeah, I
yeah.
guess, yeah.
So, yeah, obviously, you need a mix in humor. You need to get, like, the attention spans of, Zoomers or,
Yeah.
like, other or just people who just don't know that much, about the
And it
time.
kinda makes it, like, kinda comedic, yeah, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, which I don't mind in
Yeah.
history videos, like, it's like,
It
it's a
it's
good
a
idea
it's
to
a it's
assume.
a like, a different perspective, usually history is
Yeah,
kinda mellow and but it's interesting.
depends on who you read, but
Well,
Watch.
or who's teaching, which is yeah, but like majority, like like the stereotype of the history teachers, like
Right, man.
all right, guys, we're learning about like
Yeah,
just gonna
like they're over 60 years old,
yeah.
and then they just go on and on,
Yeah,
and
yeah. So yeah,
because,
I was
like,
interested what you thought, like how accurate if it was, or because
we're,
it's oversimplified, because it's not like completely like I guess
yeah,
it's pretty truthful, but it's not like it doesn't tell the whole context
he
or
gets the general events right,
hmm
but he just leaves out, like, the nuanced context
hmm
of those ideas and the events. So
yeah
it's good for the general audience, but if you wanna go a bit more in depth, then
yeah
there's other stuff you guys should do, like, just read a book.
yeah
I would, even if it's, like, really good video, like what I referenced before, if it has, like, all the hallmarks of good video, reading a book is still better.
you hear that first.
Because
Reading is very important for many reasons, but
reading
also
is important.
it gives us yeah it also is like
You get no Wikipedia article, no
yeah
YouTube video,
no
no
Google
news article is
no
gonna tell you
Google
everything. Read
no
multiple.
chat GPT.
No, definitely no ChatGPT. It gets wrong all the time. Uh, not all the time, but
A
it's
lot,
bad.
yeah.
It's bad,
Yeah,
basically. Just read a book.
that's a challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah. And then I guess it's another thing we can talk about that we can, like, transition, like, segue into now is, like, AI, or just, like, TikTok history, YouTube short history, that sort of thing. Because, like, I wonder what
Yeah.
because I talk about this with my classmates all the time. Because when yeah, just what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, my camera's at 1%, so unfortunately, it's about to die. We might
Okay.
have to talk about this next time.
Okay.
We can talk about
Ooh,
AI
that's it.
and our perspective on
Whoa,
AI.
that's a hook for
That's a
you viewers.
we're throwing a little hook
That's
to the viewers, yep.
our cliffhanger for you guys.
So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys are still with us, we're gonna do this monthly. It's just a for fun thing. If you have any topics you want us to dive into, just leave a
Suggest.
comment, and we'll probably look into it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can almost guarantee we'll probably look into it. I hope you
we
guys
will.
enjoyed though. Yeah. If we might have some guests every once in a while, just people that we know,
Mhm.
and we're just hoping to have a good time, and hope you had a good time with us. Anything you want to say?
Just thank you for tuning in. Um, hopefully you can follow us through the rest of our podcasting journey. I just
Mhm.
realized how much media training people have when they
We're
do
gonna
this. So
we're gonna be on point. Just
we're
follow.
gonna
We're
be
gonna get
on.
better every time. Trust.
Yeah, where it's gonna be more smooth. It's gonna be like watching, like, an average news program or the
Mhm.
actual professional
Yeah,
podcast.
we're gonna be. Just
Yeah,
give us time. We're gonna be the biggest podcast in the world.
yeah. But again, thank you guys
Yeah,
for
thank you.
watching. Make sure to subscribe, hit
Subscribe.
the notification bell, leave a comment.
We'll upload once a month. If you have any questions or comments or recommendations, leave it in the comment. And yeah, see you next time.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
everyone.
Christmas.